right, thanks, TJ. Appreciate that. Besides this stop, did you have a favorite one that you enjoyed or anything so far?
The dynamic structures one was pretty neat. There's another guy in the Ford one was fabulous.
Cool.
Really blown away by the things they're doing and innovating on. And then guy in California, Monkey Likes Shiny. That's the name of his blog and the name of his company, and he's a metal worker. And so obviously he's the monkey and he likes shiny metal things.
Yeah, so anything you guys see, or if you follow the 3D RV online, make sure you can, social media, just use the hashtag 3DRV, and you can post whatever information you have, whatever you're working on along with that, and they're kind of telling stories as they go throughout the whole ride.
Right, and I forgot, if you guys want, I got these cool bumper stickers. I think they're cool. I haven't put one on my car yet, but I made my other car. So if you're into 3D printing, you can have one of these little bumper stickers you can stick on your computer.
All right. Thanks, DJ. And just real quick before we take the break, just to talk about a little bit more about the emerging technology, kind of complete and wrap up what these guys talked about with reality computing. The other thing I want to point out is Aaron Morris, very modest person. He came up with the whole targetless workflow that we're going to talk about, merging two scans together, which is pretty impressive. And what they've been able to do and put together within probably almost less than a year, just over a year now, is remarkable. So make sure you talk to these guys, beat them up quite a bit while you have their attention. They love to share stories and talk about how they came up with this information, and especially as the day gets later, get a couple drinks in them, and they start talking more and more, right? So enjoy that. To kind of summarize some other reality computing and different things, we also have Spicer. They're going to come up here and talk for a little bit later on today. They have their vehicle out there, so when you take a look at the 3D RV, peek around this. This is the Pegasus system that sits up on top. I believe there's 6 or 8 cameras around the outside of it, so as you're actually driving highway speeds, it's taking photos and capturing data live and bringing that in. You can take the Pegasus and set it on different objects, boats, four-wheelers, ATVs, however we want to place that. So you can go more places than just down the road, just mobile scanning. So think about where you could take that in different areas of capturing information. We're talking about drones. I think it's remarkable what these guys have already done and what they've seen. I know the FAA is not letting us do it exactly yet, but I know companies that are doing it. So I encourage everybody to go out and get one, start working with it. As long as you're not making money, I don't know if you guys are going to share. I believe if you keep it under 400 feet, you get the owner's permission that you can get away with it. The idea is you just can't make money off of it yet in the United States, and they are given permission to certain things as long as you get that ahead of time. This is kind of how I got started. I was encouraged, I think, by Aaron or Dominic, one of these guys. If you guys want to go to Amazon, this is one of my recommendations, the Blade MQX. It's just a quadcopter. You can, I think it was under $100. I started flying it first inside my house in the wintertime, just waiting to get outside. I've crashed this thing at least 20 times a day into anything and everything in my house. The worst that happens is the little propellers. I bent a couple of those, bent them back. You got to adjust it a little bit, but it really starts letting you understand the flight and how to hover and how difficult it really is to fly these. There are some that cost a lot more, I think higher than Aaron mentioned too, but they will fly themselves. You can put wave paths or wave points, and if they go to hit a wall or anything, it will actually stop, and it knows not to crash, but it's a little bit higher dollar amounts for those. The DJI Phantom is the one I was recommended to get next. Hopefully within the next month we'll have one as well if you guys want to stop by and take a look at that or see how to fly it. Do you remember the difference between the DJI Phantom 1 and 2? Remember the 1 would do the GoPro, the 2 came with the camera, so I didn't need the camera, so I was just going to put the GoPro on the 1. Well, it's a little cheaper.
The 2 came with a GoPro Black. It's like $1,200 with the gimbal and everything out the door.
Well, I think you have to get the gimbal package separate. Actually, between the 1 and 2, it's more like the actual configuration. The battery life's better in the 2. And
so still encourage the 2 a little bit, even though it's a little bit higher?
Yeah, I mean, I've used 2 almost exclusively.
Cool, cool. All right, and you can check out, if you guys get your own, how to kind of set it up and put the GoPro on that as well with the fisheye lens. This is where I want to see. This is what I was hoping these guys would bring on that 3D RV, right? How about a drone with a 3D laser scanner, right? That's what we want to see. So, with the mobile scanning, the kinematic scan that we talked about earlier, pushing around on a cart, it's there. I mean, people are doing this. I haven't actually seen the data to speak to how good it is yet. I think it's a lot more than what they're showing here. I mean, you put a GPS receiver in there. You still need an IMU. If anybody's not familiar with an IMU, it tells you where you are 200 points a second at all times. The idea is if you turn your iPhone on and you flip it this way, your screen reads this way, then you flip it this way, it automatically updates the other direction. That's kind of a really small idea of what an IMU is. It knows the movement and what you're doing as it's moving. So that'll definitely be in the near future. This is the Pro Scan. We're going to have one here. These guys are located in Germany. Unfortunately, we weren't able to connect in the short time here. But we usually have one here in Troy if you guys want to check that out. Literally, this is the cart that you kind of push around wherever you want, and it captures data as you walk indoor and outdoor like I talked about before. What I thought was unique about this is they put a lot of time and thought into this little cart. You can take it off and you can put it on a golf cart and you can drive down. Don't get it confused with the mobile scanning. This is much slower speeds. It doesn't capture data quite as quick. It's more for just sites and smaller areas, indoor scanning as well. But I started looking at this, and it kind of reminds me if you've ever been to a hospital, like one of those IVs, you kind of walk with it, right? It's kind of pretty close. I thought maybe that's where all this came from. Makes it easy. And then I thought of one other idea. Anybody remember that movie? Anybody remember the name of it? Who was it? Who said it first? I'll get you a Starbucks gift card. All right, grab me later. That movie's been out a long time ago, wasn't it? Yeah, I was going to say, you must be about my age, right? Long time ago. So it's pretty unique how they come up with some designs and ideas, and I wonder where that technology comes from, which is pretty neat as well. Actually, I was going to grab the structure sensor here. Maybe we'll do it right after the break. Or does anybody have the structure sensor right there in the back and bring it up real quick? I'll talk about it if you guys see it. I think they were going to put it out there for display. It'll probably only take a second. We'll see what it does here in the dark. So if anybody seen the structure sensor in the past, this is actually a Kickstarter. If anybody watches the Kickstarters, they raise money ahead of time, and they raise the money. Oh, thanks. All right, actually, you want to pass it over there, right in the corner. Stephanie, I appreciate it. Thanks for all your help. Right up there. So the idea of the Kickstarter is you put money out there, you come up with an idea, and then you get funding from all over the world for people to believe in your project. And if you're one of the first believers, then they give you one of the first items that's created. It's kind of like a beta tester. You get first chance to walk around with this, test it, give them feedback on it. So we thought this was pretty impressive. The idea is it goes on the end of an iPad. We also liked it because it was like $400, right? If it was $4,000, I might have hesitated, kind of waited a little bit longer. We all know how new technology is and how early adopters kind of are in a big learning curve as well. You want to stay up here for a second? Sure. All right, so give me 1 second here. Let me jump in here to the scanner. So the idea of this and what they told me when I contributed to them was the ability to hold this up, and you were able to capture an entire room. About 30 feet range wherever you hold this. So everybody see the little structure sensor on the end there? I got to peel this off quick. Okay, so it mounts right on here. And basically, if you guys can see this, whatever I look at is showing up through that camera on the iPad, right? Which is pretty neat. So I've had it probably 2 or 3 months. Unfortunately, I got very busy. New technology all takes time and investment to make things work as well. I have came to the conclusion that I cannot capture an entire room yet. That's on the way. So there's another app that we have to wait for to get that. And the only other drawback so far is we were unable to do color. So they're on their way with that app as well. But to give you an idea where the technology is and something so simple, being able to do this. And you kind of talked about a little bit with the Xbox Connect. Everybody have an Xbox Connect? Or your kids do? If you do, we'll count that. Either way. But the idea is Xbox Connect, if you're playing volleyball or any movement you're doing in front of that sensor that sits on the TV, it's recording everything you do, right? So if you go over here to hit the ball or you go over here, it's capturing everything you do. And you don't have to have those little sensors on you. It's actually monitoring and watching you do that. So basically they took that sensor and that information and they built that into this little iPad device, which is pretty neat. So Aaron, if you don't mind, I'm going to walk around you real quick. We'll get a 3D capture of Aaron if it goes right. And on break, we'll take it up there and everybody can come around and look at it, or we'll pass it around and you take a look at throughout the event as we go. We got the microphone there. It's kind of dark in here, huh?
It's a little dark.
Yeah, so I don't know if anybody, I'll kind of walk around and I'll duck down. Hopefully you guys can see this. The only idea that you have to do, I'm going to hit scan real quick. I'm going to go slow so I don't bump into anything. But as you go around, I'm going to go up a little bit higher. You just have to keep him inside this little Rubik's Cube. Did you guys see that in the back a little bit? I'll probably mess this up, but at least we'll have something at this point if I don't bump into anything. But as long as I keep this view on him, it's capturing everything inside that box. Last time I did this, whoops, hang on. Should be okay there. I lost a little bit of tracking. I wish this went live on there. But if you go off the object, it will say it's losing tracking. So let me just swing back around here. See if I can get up there. I tested this on my wife the first time. When you looked at it, she had a great big hole in her head. And you can actually see inside them. So I was trying to make sure that didn't happen again, but I'm losing the information as I go around there. So hopefully you guys can kind of see there's a model of, you're good, Aaron. Wait one more time. No, just kidding. So you can see that it actually captured Aaron up there. If you guys can see that in the back. Again, we'll pass it around, but it's pretty neat. So you're going to be able to do that with an entire room. And we're going to move this here to the X-ray version. And I'm going to hold this. If you don't mind, just spin that around like you do touch screen on a recap and spin that a little bit. And literally now it looks really impressive in the X-ray version as we move that around. If you flip it up so you can see, which I think is pretty neat. You got a little hole in your head there, but if you flip it the other way, wait, that's a bald spot. If you flip it up so you can see underneath your shirt, good thing it was, there you go. Can you guys see that in the back? It's pretty neat, right? So literally you can kind of see, it looks like you're seeing through them or underneath it. But so then basically you're going to be able to take this. This is a mesh, right? This is not a point cloud. But like you talked about earlier, that's all 3D information that we can send to a 3D printer. Right? This is information that you can model from. So any object that you need to recreate in a manufacturing world, and that's pretty impressive. Construction, anywhere you go, and it took us, 2 minutes to do this. Go ahead and pass it around for a little bit if you want. If you could make sure you get that, Zach, before, just if it gets passed around a little bit.
Make it quick note here, and
Yep.
I don't know how to operate this. Is part of the TJ's set, but we have
Yeah.
similar, but slightly different from dot product.
Yep.
Again, better with tablet, but maybe we can play with that later as well.
Yeah, if you guys want the dot product, we've used it in the past. You can rent these. They actually sell for about $5,000. They're very impressive for small areas. You can turn it on. Literally whatever you see, it's going to capture, and it will bring in actually color photo, and it's actually a point cloud that delivers as well, which is very similar. It's been out in the market a lot longer than the structure sensor as well. A little bit different technology, but very, very impressive. This is the last one, and then we'll get some break here, or maybe take a look at the 3D RV to make sure everybody wakes up a little bit. Has anybody seen the Oculus glasses yet? A couple of you? Very, very cool. I hope to play a movie for you guys. I ran out of time putting this together. But one of my clients actually bought a P20, and they went to a canyon in Australia. And the idea and belief is capturing this reality and then augmenting it. When you go to a museum, all you see is a photograph of a canyon, right? And that's memorized, and it takes people's breath away. It's so beautiful. Well, I'd like to go there. Well, this guy took his P20, went out, hiked in the middle of nowhere. I forget the amount of time it took just to get out there. But he captured this canyon with 3D laser scanner, and then he took his own photos, a professional photographer, and he draped those images right onto the point cloud. Okay, but he didn't stop there. Now he's showing that point cloud with perfect images in there. You put these glasses on, and it immerses you in real time. So if you move up, you get to look up the canyon. If you move down inside the canyon. He can change the time of day it is, the temperature, if it's raining, if it's foggy, right? So he's immersing you in that technology. So now imagine if you go and you look in a museum, you put these on, and literally you're there. You don't have to go to the museum anymore. You can say, I want to travel to Europe, put this on, and you're walking through Europe. And the funny part is you'll be, you're kind of walking, everybody's staring at you like this, which is pretty neat. I always have clients a lot of time to look at the iPad, and when they're looking at some of that BIM 360 or they're going through augmented reality and they want to look at pipes in the ceiling, and they'll sit there and they'll go like this. And you can do it with a point cloud too, just so you guys know. We got some software out there. You can scan anything you want. You create these true views, and you can look at it augmented. And after they do this for about 5 minutes, I'm like, hey, just so you know, you can just spin the iPad. You don't have to move it around. And everybody kind of laughs like, okay. I said, they did it to me the first time too, so I'm just passing on the favor, which is pretty neat. So I was hoping to have Luke is one of the companies, or the person that actually was augmenting this reality. I can pass on his blog and his information. He had to go to Europe. I planned on having him here, and he's going to have a little booth and let you actually see what was augmented, but the date didn't work out. But if you guys want more information on that, I'd be glad to put that together for you as well. So let's go ahead and take a quick break. Any other questions or anything before we break? Cool. Thanks. 15 minutes, 5 minutes? Thanks.